Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go over a bunch of different companies that I don't normally go over. So we'll just get a little bit different look at a bunch of other companies that are out there that I either like or other people like. So let's dive in. I'll give you my financial opinion. What I've got behind me is BTU. This is Peabody Energy. We'll take a big long-term view of it. It's an inverted head and shoulders bottom. I charted this on the channel before. We broke this. I said, yep, go ahead and buy it. I didn't buy it. Was moving on up. Had a little bit of a pullback here. Going to the daily candlesticks, we went into this ascending type wedge pattern. It had a little overthrow. It's going to have a little bit of a pullback, and we're still in that consolidation period. But it does look good, I think, to continue higher. We've broken this bottom pattern, and it's probably going to go up, very similar to how it came down. So we've, obviously get some pullbacks here, a little consolidation period, and I'm willing to bet that it's probably going to go higher. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to stick with my natural gas and oil companies. That's kind of where I'm overweighted, but this chart doesn't look horrible. It's just in a consolidation period. Yancoal, YAL, this one looks really good. We've got a large pattern that coiled up into the corner. It broke out. We've got our return move here on the right-hand side, the return move, and we're trying to, I think, finish this consolidation move and then eventually head higher. The projected move of this beast. This is a beast, guys. Let me put a projected thing. Let's do a trend-based fib extension. I'm going to take the bottom here, roll it to the top. And then I'm going to put it all the way to the bottom here. And what I'm getting for like a 1.618, that's kind of where I go, is a $29, $30 price movement. And then about a $50 price movement for a 2.618 move. And I'd say the 1.618 is kind of the one I usually look at. So I think this could go up quite dramatically. And I wish I had more data back here. It might even be bigger than that, as this could be a larger pattern in there. Looking at Thungela, another coal company, I think. This is one that some people on the channel were talking about. It's kind of cool to say the name Thungela. Looks like we don't have much. It's got a bullish engulfing here on the weekly candlestick pattern. But it's coming on up. It's moving sideways, and I think probably will eventually go higher. I know some people wanted me to chart CGG. This one looks really good. We've got a downtrend line. We're coming down. We have a low and a higher low, and it's breaking out of that downtrend. So I think CGGYY looks excellent for an entry point down here for the patient long-term investor. Scrolling on down, hitting some of the solar companies. I'm just going to hit like TAN here. We are breaking to the downside. We've had some nice sell-off here. Wow. Let me zoom in a little bit and do the daily candlesticks. It might be finding a bottom here. The thing that I don't know is, I don't know if the solar companies trade like energy companies or if they trade like the NASDAQ technology companies. And if they trade like the technology companies, they could be highly sensitive to interest rates. And with interest rates creeping up, this has been selling off quite dramatically. We do have a big pattern break that launched to the upside, and we're in our first consolidation period. And I know solar, they're looking to ramp solar quite dramatically. The problem that I see is the input costs of all these different minerals and commodities, their input costs for solar. And I don't know how solar is going to overcome that. So during a commodity boom, people run to oil and coal and all these commodities, but solar is a commodity consumer, not a commodity itself. So it becomes less desirable to own, I think, during a commodity boom. But I think it will do absolutely excellent in a disinflationary period, perhaps. But I just don't see it in the chart necessarily, and it's a difficult one to read because I don't know if it acts like a commodity or if interest rates are going to bring this thing down and the commodity prices going up is going to eat it. Problem is, all this is government subsidized. So it's a tough one to crack. You know, here's Beam. I mean, that's getting a nice good sell-off here, and it's back within the pattern. Sunworks has been selling off, and it's back very low in its pattern. SOL, Renesola, it's fallen down. It's getting a little bit larger pullback. So these don't look like they're being ultra strong in an increasing interest rate environment, although their patterns, I mean, this is a massive pattern that's broken to the upside. Almost like '08 was its peak, like it was trading like a commodity. And if it does trade like a commodity, then these would have excellent entry points here at some point. I mean, we could be entering good buy points on them. And honestly, guys, I'll be honest, I don't know 100% on these because we don't have the long-term data on it. And I know they want to ramp this stuff up quite dramatically. And, you know, here's Canadian Solar kind of pulling back quite dramatically, and it's within its long-term pattern again. If this thing can pull up. So here's the long-term pattern, and it's back within this pattern. It's trading very similar to say, even gold and some of the gold companies. So yeah, I don't have that answer. Here's Fuel Cell Energy. It's pulling on back. We're down to $3. This is an inverted shoulder head shoulder. If it can turn around and move higher. It's not looking that great, though. And Plug's getting a nice, good pullback. Nice, good dig from 2014. It had a consolidation period, and then it ran higher again, and now it's in another consolidation period. And it's definitely pulling back, that's for sure. And there's your pullback out of the bottom of this pattern. And perhaps I drew this up too high. Perhaps you want to draw it down like this. I can draw it. Maybe it's a more of a descending type wedge pattern. We'll see. Looking at like the rare earth metals, REMX, yeah, we're getting a little bit of a pullback in REMX. We got a nice hammer pattern recently. Maybe we can find some buying pressure where this thing can move higher. But I mean, overall, the big picture view, I call this the booty bottom with the break to the upside. Now we're getting a return move. I think we'll rip it higher at some point very soon. And we're getting that. This is LIT, Global X Lithium Battery and Tech. This thing is pulling back quite dramatically. Go to the dailies. You can see the dailies. It is pulling back quite hard. MP Materials. This is a rare earth metals. We're getting some candlesticks here that look like we could be potentially bottoming and moving higher. These are hammer candlestick patterns here. We've got a large consolidation period that we could break and potentially move to the upside. So MP Materials looks good. Canadian Rare Earth looks like it's just playing with its support line, and that could potentially go higher at some point. So that doesn't look horrible. Rare Element Resources, it looks like it's breaking to the downside here. Let's zoom in. A little shoulder head shoulder, broken to the downside, a retest, and we'll see if we can break back up or if we're going to break down. I don't own it, but here is Syra Resources. We had this little pattern, broke to the upside. Nice big move. It's been chopping sideways in a long-term downtrend line pattern. This is Linus Rare Earth Metals. It's continuing to move higher out of this break. So it broke this big pattern. It's been it's been moving higher. We can zoom in with it. This one's LYSCF for the ticker symbol. And we've had a little bit of a sell-off recently in it. Looking at Livent Corporation, a little bit of a sell-off recently. So we're still in this pullback. We got a couple of nice candlesticks here, a nice big bullish engulfing and a double bottom potential. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. IXR, I can't remember the name of the company of this one. That's Ionic Rare Earths Limited. We've broken to the upside of this support. So we broke out, retest, and then we've been tracking higher. So that one looks good. ARR, American Rare Earths Limited, had a massive move higher to the top of this megaphone pattern. And in the megaphone pattern, we have another big move on the dailies, 29%. I think this looks more like a top, and we could potentially head down. But this is a monster move. Usually you get this like monster blow off top, and then we come back, and then it kind of slowly does a consolidation period. Albemarle Corporation, this looks like a kind of a bottom, trying to put in a little bit of a bottom here. Zooming out, you can see a shoulder, head, shoulder. I even put the Elliott wave structure in there, saying like, hey, this could be a potential top here. You move down, this is your A, B, and then it's got to put in the C correction. Is the C correction done? Maybe, maybe not. But this looks like a one, I should say first wave, third wave, fifth wave, and then ABC correction. So it's A, B, and then C. And I don't know if this is the ultimate bottom or if we're going to draw a little bit lower. But it does look like it's bottoming. And if this is bottoming, and hopefully uranium is too, but that's what it looks like there. LAC, Lithium Americas Corp, still in a pullback mode here. We're right at the resistance line. American Lithium Corp, booty bottom, breakout to the upside, and we're in a little bit of a pullback. I bet you this is a hammer pattern on a I think that's the monthly candlestick pattern here. This is LIACF, and we've got the pullback here recently. So breakout and then the pullback. Looking at some of these like fertilizer companies, IPI, I like this one a lot. We've broken the downtrend line. We've come into this pattern, and we're just kind of hanging out. But on the big long term, we've broken the downtrend line, and I think this has good potential to move a lot higher. Archer Daniels Midland, this has been a strong performer. ADM, that was IPI, Intrepid Potash. ADM, Archer's Daniel Midland, has been on a tear here. It's been rocketing higher. This is an agricultural company. We went into this consolidation pattern and broke it to the upside. Everything's looking quite good for ADM. Looking at Mosaic, MOS, again, on the long-term perspective, this is a monster consolidation pattern from the peak of 2008. Big consolidation pattern. We're starting to get warmed up again and moving to the upside. So that one looks really good as well. We're right at this resistance area. If we look back in like the 1990s, we're right there trying to break through that resistance. Looking at emerging markets, EEM, this one looks really good too. This would be another one that I would be a purchaser in. Usually when the dollar gets weak, the emerging markets do very well in a strong commodity, weak dollar environment. We went into consolidation period. We've broken to the upside and we're doing a retest move. So I think this is a good spot to be picking up shares for EEM. And I think eventually that dollar will weaken. We're just not there yet. So this would be a good kind of cost averaging in spot, I think. And it's very rare to have a pattern this large break to the upside and have it fail. So I would suspect that this is probably a legit pattern. The medical event couldn't really even throw it off its mark. It still wanted to go higher. And I think eventually it will move on up. So that's what I've got for today. That's kind of some other areas. I do think emerging markets is a solid spot to be. I've owned it the entire time. I do think healthcare, I own some in my, I own it in my 401k, some healthcare mutual funds. So I think that's another spot to look if you want to diversify out. We've got the baby boomers, they're getting old. That's kind of been how I've been thinking about it. And I've got some healthcare ETFs. I don't own any individual companies. I do own a couple individual companies that I still own, United Healthcare and Anthem. But that's in my long-term portfolio that I don't really touch. And in those companies I haven't touched, at least. But that's what I've got. Give me a thumbs up for the content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.